Welcome to the 2021 Power List, where we decided to focus on leadership and inclusion. The executives on this year's Power List have selected power players within their own organizations who represent impactful, innovative, inclusive leadership. We will release exclusive interviews with our power players talking about these topics weekly. In this video, you'll hear from Lisa Ingram, CEO of White Castle.
I think the biggest lessons that we've learned are just the importance of resilience and adaptability. In March and April, the whole restaurant industry was dealing with dramatic change and government regulations that were shutting us down, et cetera. And on a daily basis, our general managers had to adapt to those regulations, had to adapt to a new way of making sure our team members were safe, whether that's taking temperature, making sure they had the right PPE, all of those types of things, making sure we were doing more cleaning, all of those, in addition to trying to provide service to customers that were coming in and hit their numbers and everything else. It was really a dramatic pace of change that I think really was a key to being able to be adaptable. And then just resilience, recognizing that, we've been around for 100 years and we've seen world wars, we've seen the Great Depression, we've seen lots of different things, but we've never dealt with a global pandemic. And so making sure that we were continuing to take the long view and making the best decisions that were in line with our values to support our general managers and to support our plant managers who were making our buns and our meat and our retail product. I think adaptability and resilience were the two things that stuck out to me.
And what would you say you're most proud of in terms of your leadership or the company's leadership and community impact as you look back over the challenges of the past year?
So I was really proud of the team's just flexibility and willingness to dig in. So we definitely, as most restaurants I'm sure had to do, make some really tough decisions in March and April, but everybody stuck with us. Everybody was devoted to the brand. And so it was really fun, later in the year when we were able to reinstate a lot of cuts that we had to make. That was one thing. The other thing that I'm really proud of is our general managers were on the forefront of us delivering free combo meals to healthcare heroes. And we delivered over $1 million worth of free food to the healthcare heroes. And they were really excited about doing that, felt very engaged and very empowered to do that. And so that gave our team a way to give back to those people who were really on the front lines and saving people's lives. We also did a couple of fun virtual events. We did a virtual video dance party with Dude Skywalker, and we did a storyboard for the night before Cravemas with Richard Dreyfuss, and both of those things raised together over $35,000 for the National Restaurant Association's Team Member Relief Fund, which is helping those team members in the restaurant industry who are having difficult times. So we felt really good about doing that. So those are just a couple of things that I'm really proud of.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the challenges that those general managers faced, why don't you tell me a bit about your Power List nomination and why you chose them?
So it was very easy for me to pick our general managers. So we have 360 general managers that do amazing work for us day in and day out. Our average tenure is 21 years. They're also a very diverse group. 81% of them are female, 44% of them are ethnically diverse. And every day they had to deal with something different, whether that was a different change in a procedure that we were doing, whether that was, distributing PPE, whether that was taking temperatures, whether that was, working with each team member to understand, when they can come in, when not, and dealing with when we had quarantines, all of those types of stuff that they had never dealt with before. They were very adaptable, very resilient, very devoted to the company and devoted to continuing to make great memorable moments for our customers, because there were so many things that weren't going right during this time. But a lot of people wanted to have some sense of comfort. They wanted to have some sense of normalcy. And so a lot of times that was White Castle sliders. And our team rallied to try to make sure that our customers got the food that they wanted, to give them a little smile and a little sense of normalcy during these very challenging times.
Mm-hmm. And that's incredible that 80, you said 81% of your GMs are women. And
Yes.
what was the number for people of color? Sorry.
44% are ethnically diverse.
That's pretty incredible. So I guess I would ask you how you were able to foster such an inclusive and diverse culture of leadership at the company.
This is definitely something that we have been working on. But we also pull from a great customer base. So a lot of our team members are customers around our locations, and our locations are very diverse. And so making sure that we continue to look at those the diversity in the castle, and make sure that that goes up the ranks. So we do a couple of things. We ensure that we have diverse panels that do interviews for all of our promotions. We also make sure that our bench, especially for our general managers, is diverse to begin with. And we continue to push on this diversity inclusion, especially in the wake of all this social unrest and racial injustice. While we have really good numbers, we know that there's more that we can do. And so we've had, this year alone, we started a White Castle Days of Understanding, where we gathered virtually to talk about difficult subjects and how White Castle can do better. We also had a lot of our diverse leaders share their perspective on racism in our shared perspectives column, which was really great because they hear from me, but as a white woman, it's challenging for me to say the right thing. And so I wanted to make sure that since we have so many diverse leaders, that they got the opportunity to talk and share their story about what racism has meant to them, how it's impacted them, and how we can continue to do more, because we're not going to undo 400 years of social injustice if we don't try to make it better, even in our own worlds. So it's something that I'm really proud of and will continue to work on. I want everybody, as a woman, I've always wanted this, but I want everybody to be able to see somebody higher up that looks like them. And I think that that's really important. And so we've done great work. We still have work that we can do, but I am really proud of where we are thus far.
And what is your advice for other leaders in food service at this time of political, economic, and global health challenges?
I think that you have to be authentic. I mean, you have to be yourself as a brand and as a leader. As I said, we've been around for 100 years. We've dealt with world wars, the Great Depression, but we've never been through a global pandemic. So a lot of the decisions that we were making were the first time that we've made. So being authentic and recognizing that and rallying around your team to make sure that you've got the smartest people that you can find, helping you make the best decisions at the time that you can, is really, really important. And so I think being authentic is one thing. The second thing I would say is setting small goals. So sometimes just being able to achieve something for that day or for that week was really, really important to our teams, to give them motivation to say, you know what, the world's not falling apart. We made our speed of service today, or we got all of our transactions, or we hit our IVR scores, which are our customer service scores. Those types of things can really be rallying cries when you may not be hitting your sales because of the pandemic. And so I think those are two things: being authentic and setting small goals that may not necessarily have to do with the numbers, that will help keep the team motivated even if you're not hitting the numbers. I think that consumer choice is going to continue to be very important even after the pandemic. So whether that's connecting with your consumers in person, which I hope we get back to, or through the drive-through, or online, or through delivery, I think all of those options are going to still be really important to consumers, and they may actually all even out more. So I think if you're a restaurant and you're not exploring those spaces, you really need to get into that. I think that's going to be one key thing. I think the other thing will be, how do we, when we're all sort of done with this, how do we reconnect in a way that builds the industry up and allows us to continue to create those great memorable moments? And that's something that we're always talking about this year.
Stay tuned for our next leadership conversation from the Power List.